Good day and welcome to Psych Sense, where we make sense of mental health. I'm Ken Mound, your host, and today I'm going to be updating you on my graduate school progress. Now my hope is to inspire someone out there to go back to school and pursue psychology as either a first, second, or in my case, third career. And if you're considering going to my school, Notre Dame de Namur University, this video may help you understand better what to expect. I want to jump right in and talk about the semester I just completed, and I'll tell you about the classes I'm planning to take next. If you're interested in the recap of my journey, please check out the description below for a summary. But briefly, I've just completed my second semester and 16 units total I have now out of 67, so I'm about a quarter of the way done. So let me start with child and adolescent psychopathology. I'm going to grab the book here and just show it to you. Now overall, I love the course. It reinforced for me my therapeutic interest in teenagers and adolescents. I think teens and adolescents deal with a lot of stress as they transition from childhood to adulthood, and it's super important for their onboarding to adulthood to occur in a healthy, supportive, and safe way. Now what I liked best about the class was the case conceptualization assignment. This involved a deep analysis about what to do for a 14-year-old girl named Sonia, obviously a made-up name, who had been abused for several years and was now living in foster care. And we got all of this information, background information about this fictitious person, and we were able to analyze it. I ended up writing a 10-plus page paper going into detail about Sonia's situation, her diagnosis, proposed treatment plan, and provided scientific support for why I felt we should go in that direction. The assignment increased my interest in abuse-related PTSD and complex trauma. Now, another great thing about the class was Professor Dorset herself. She has a great deal of knowledge about the topics covered. She's very responsive and available, and she taught us about ethics also in the class, which was something I wasn't really expecting. Another great thing was my classmates. Each time I take a new class and meet new people, I always learn a lot from my diverse classmates. As far as what I didn't like, that's easy. I already showed you the book. I didn't like this book. It seems much better suited for those wanting to work in an educational setting. There's a lot of content around learning disorders, communication disorders, conduct disorders, the kinds of things you worry a lot about in an educational setting. But for example, there was nothing in here about gender identity, sexuality, or body dysmorphia, topics that I'm particularly interested in, so I was a little disappointed it wasn't in there. I also feel the book didn't go deeply enough into eating disorders. Now let me tell you about the group psychology course I took. Let me just grab the book here. This was a great book. This is a book by Yalom. Yalom is just an amazing expert in group psychology. And I came into the class knowing nothing about group psychology. I had never been in, observed, or knew anybody who went to group therapy. So I had a lot to learn. As far as what I liked about the class, I pretty much liked everything. I liked how Dr. Anhalt used the first half of each class reviewing the reading assignment in a very interactive way that was different than I had experienced before and actually really helped reinforce the concepts that were part of the reading. Dr. Anhalt used the second part of each lecture primarily to lead a mock group session in which students participated. And what happened was a number of students volunteered to do this. We were given roles to play, and we acted out those roles in this pretend group session. And then we would all analyze it. Both the people that were in the group would analyze what it was like to be in the group. Those who were observing would make comments about that. And then Dr. Anhalt would sort of wrap up and help us understand what we had just observed and what was going on. And this was extremely valuable. It was much more valuable than I anticipated it to be. And I got a lot out of it. In addition, I learned a lot from a 3-part writing assignment. Now in this 3-part writing assignment, each student had to design a therapy group. And this was a pretty intense assignment. All combined, it ended up being well over 20 pages for the 3 parts. And so I ended the semester feeling pretty confident that I could conduct and lead a group therapy someday. And I also felt like this is something that I want to be part of my future as a therapist. I mentioned the book. The book for the class was very good. Now, Dr. Yalom, who wrote this book, he expresses some of his views kind of in an exaggerated way sometimes to try to make a point. But because he did it in that way, it helped me push my own thinking about a number of different therapeutic issues. The third and final class I took was a combination of neurology and psychopharmacology. And because it had these 2 sort of flavors to it, there are actually 2 books. The Developing Mind, which was primarily the brain and neurology aspect to it. And then we also had this book, the Handbook of Clinical Pharmacology. This book actually kind of comes in two pieces too. The first half of it is mostly diagnoses, looking at it through the lens of neurology, and the second half is the pharmacology. It talks about things like antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, antipsychotics, and so forth. And so the first half of the semester was spent studying the brain, and in particular parts of the brain involved in emotional and behavioral regulation, along with the associated neurochemistry that's involved in that. And the second half of the semester was spent deep diving into major psychological disorders that are medically treated, including depression, substance abuse, anxiety, psychosis, ADHD, OCD, and even borderline personality disorder. Now, I had previously studied all these disorders before, but learning them again in the context of the brain and neurochemistry was actually very helpful to reinforce and deepen my understanding of all these disorders. We spent time on the neurochemical causes of each disorder and the medical treatments for them, and also looked at issues like drug side effects, what happens when someone stops taking the medication, and so forth. Now, the best part of the class for me was probably the in-class exercises we did, and these involved practicing what we had learned either via mock patient interaction or reading and analyzing case examples. And in this scenario, we usually worked in a group setting, and Dr. Polke would then, after we gave our opinions, she would sort of wrap it up, and she would sometimes share real-world insight, obviously in a privacy-safe way, and that would help us all more deeply understand the content that was being studied. So those are the three classes I just completed, and I'm really excited to be done my second semester. And actually, very shortly on May 10th, I'm going to be starting summer session 1 classes. So don't get very much of a break here. I'm going to be taking 2 classes in summer session 1. I'm going to be taking couples therapy, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm also going to be taking a class in child and adult psychotherapy. This is more of a survey class covering both child and adult in the area of psychotherapy. Looking forward to both classes. Now in the second summer session, session 2, which I'll be taking in July, I'll be taking cross-cultural psychology. So that's a summary of where I am right now in my academic journey. Like I said, I'm about a quarter of the way done. By December, I'll be about a halfway done. And so with that, thank you for watching Psych Sense, where we make sense of mental health. I'm Ken Mallon, your host, and I'll see you next time.